although I'm not at the utmost a historicist, I think that every historicism is ultimately self-contradictory, in the sense that it has a certain meta-theory implied into it, which itself cannot be historicized. Let me give you an example. This is my old problem with somebody whom I otherwise appreciate. He is a great mind, Judith Butler. You know, he is an anti-essentialist. We don't have fixed sexual identities, biologically or theologically determined. Our gender identities, gender is not the same as sex, but let's drop it now. Our gender identities are performatively enacted, contingent, through practice, through repetition, and so on and so on. Okay, my simple question for her is this dynamic, performative vision of our gender identities, is this itself a historical phenomenon? That's how we experience ourselves in today, postmodern global capitalist universe? Or can we say in some sense that, to be slightly but benevolently ironic, when the stone men seduced each other and whatever they did as their sexual activity, they were already performatively constructing their identity and so on and so on. If you adopt whichever way you answer, I think you are in a deadlock. If you claim, no, this is our specific vision today, then what will you say then? That once essentialism was true, only today it's not. If you today it's not or not. If you say essentialism was never true, then you find yourself in a very strange predicament, which is idealist in the worst sense, I think, because then you have to claim that we, in a very primitive historicist way, that something is universally true, sex, gender, identity were always performatively constructed in a contingent way, but today we are in a privileged position to know this. So again, what interests me with all historicists is that they are never fully historicists. The very structure of historicity is something that they have to presuppose as an a priori. The very structure of historicity is something that they have to presuppose as an a priori. It's obvious with Marx and Marxism. For there, the process which determines or over-determines the change from one to another notion of reality is ultimately the change in collective practice, collective labor process, and so on.
Right.
For Heidegger, it's different, and so on and so on. So again, I am not a radical historicist. I am, to put it very naively, in search of the absolute. I don't think that radical historicism works as a position. Do you know that all the terms that you used now are already so heavily historically overdetermined? What do you mean by objective world? Do you mean it in modern sense? Do you mean it in a more medieval sense, and so on? Is this objective world the world of natural science? If there is something, and it's a paradox, here I find mysteries, not only Chomsky.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, even when they were starving and so on, humanity had a weird need to make, under quotation marks, irrational sacrifices. You almost don't have enough of meat, but you have to destroy as an offering to gods a little bit of it, and so on and so on. This always fascinated me, there are even ridiculous examples, like, I think this is modern theology. Do you know a little bit of, it's horrible, the history of communist Albania after World War II, Enver Hoxha? You know that he was obsessed by security, and you know that in a country of, I think, less than 2 million people, in a decade or so, as part of this obsession that Albania will be attacked, they built, the Albanians, 400,000 small bunkers. It was clearly a sacrificial gesture.